clearly saw through the results, the NPS, through the verbatims that our customers were sending us, that they were not happy with the experience. It was really impressive and the feedback very, very positive. The translation into customer satisfaction was that we saw the NPS, so the Net Promoter Score, multiplied by 8 on the customers using the service. So clearly, very good results.
And it's one of the main factors that a customer with the Swedish Employment Service wants to get sorted out from the very beginning is of course hugely valuable. It creates a safety net for them, it creates an ease of mind, and it means that they can put more focus on actually looking for new employment rather than having to struggle with the administrative processes of getting their insurance sorted out.
Partner with us. Partner with AXA Partners.
Hello, everybody. We are very happy to have you with us on this edition of AXA Live Innovation Talk, which is always dedicated to key innovation topics with prominent leaders, entrepreneurs, and experts. You can still watch previous episodes on replays on YouTube. During the session, do not hesitate to ask your questions on social media, YouTube, LinkedIn, or Twitter. Today's topic is really important. How can innovation help to improve customer experience and drive the customer journey? For us at AXA, this topic is very key because it's one of our pillars of our strategic plan, Driving Progress 2023. And today I want to go deeper in this question, and I have the pleasure to welcome first Suzanne Acton, the CEO of ING Digital Bank Insurance Partnership. Suzanne joined ING in 2017. Since then, has established in the ING insurance strategy and global platform business with over 200 FTE, spanning 5 markets, and having launched over 17 products in 2 years with AXA. Her career has involved 20 years bold consultancy and client-side leadership in business innovation, turnaround solution for new and established brands. Thanks for being here, Suzanne.
Thank you for inviting.
You're welcome. Then we have Florent Gayot, co-founder and partner at Astroya .vc, a European seed insurance, and launched in October 2017. Florent has been investing in tech startups for around 50 years, including New Fund, a tech VC based in Paris, and AXA Ventures, a VC fund investing at European insurance startups. He regularly writes and tweets about InsurTech, artificial intelligence, and startups. Great to have you here, Florian.
Thanks for having me.
Then we have Yves Masson, Managing Director at AXA ING Partnership. Yves has held different businesses in functional roles during the phases of the constitution of AXA Group. And in the recent year, he has been the CEO of the emergency assistance business worldwide of the AXA direct insurance companies in France and in the UK. Thanks for being here, Yves.
Happy to be there, Antimo. Good afternoon to everyone.
Good afternoon. So let's start with the first interesting questions that it's for all of you. And the question is very important. What has been the most inspiring and relevant innovation in customer experience in your eyes? Starting with Susan, then Florian, and then Yves.
So, interesting question, right? Because you have two things together. You have innovation and you have relevance. And I think there are some pretty exciting, innovative ideas out there, but they don't necessarily get mass attraction because they aren't sufficiently relevant. So I'm going to just talk about a couple that I think have really hit the nail on the head. So you can either get end-to-end enormous extension of relevance, and that could be the equivalent to Uber, right? Which really not only changed mobility, but the driving experience and how they actually set up a whole new model, business model. So is Gojek. What I think is really amazing with Gojek in Indonesia is they expanded, like actually Uber did, to Go Shop, Go Food, and actually they've been hit a bit by the COVID, but ultimately they not only changed the whole customer experience, but the ecosystem changed in the background. For me, I'm a mum, so as a busy working mum, what's super relevant for me is, does any innovation bring a pain point relief? So in answering this question, the things that bring me joy, speed, my family joy, and speed and calm in the house are things like Uber that I can quickly get in a taxi, order my groceries, get my takeaway. But it's also things like Amazon, where I can quickly do my shopping and receive overnight, but I'm also doing my Prime TV media with the children. So I think what brands need to think about and where they're successful is when they facilitate multiple of pain points in one zone, and that really gets traction. That's when you land as an app on the first page and you don't leave. I also like brands like Zappos, who have just really specialized in how they do shopping experience, but even things like Apple Pay that allows me to walk out with only my own mobile phone and not having to take my bag anymore. So back to the question of innovation and relevance, I think for me, they're the top list, as is Dr. Lib, which is something very prominent in France, that I can aggregate on my medical needs. And actually, ultimately, that's why we chose AXA to do the ING partnership with, because we saw you have multiple business opportunities for us to facilitate and embed pain points in one go. But for me, that's the critical question that you need to achieve. But I pass over to Florian and Yves to expand.
Yeah, thanks, Suzanne. And on my side, I would highlight transparent payment, because I think that it's a detail of the customer journey. At the beginning, at least, we say, okay, it's just one very tiny part. That's the end of the customer journey. But what is very interesting here is that by transforming the payment and making it transparent. So it started, by the way, with Amazon with the one click. So it started with moving from having to fill information, register your card and so on, to just click on one button, to definitely transparent at Uber and any kind of application Deliveroo as well. It's a transparent payment now. And it has a huge impact on how people behave, because there it enabled the mobile payment. It made the credit card disappear from the process itself. So from a very tiny part of the customer journey, something that could seem a detail has a huge impact on the user experience, and by the way, on a huge industry, because that's a huge impact and a huge revamp and a huge, I would say, disruption of the payment industry, which was supposed, and you know it better than I do, to generate a lot of revenue for banks. So it has an impact even the payment, even beyond the payment itself.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks a lot, Florian. And Yves.
Yeah, so for me, the example that I would choose is the possibility that you have today as a customer to go and pick up your rental car directly with your mobile phone in the parking of the airport, rather than have to go in the rental car agency and queue. I find this relevant because, you know, when you've just been traveling by plane, which hopefully we'll be able to do again soon, what you want to do is to continue with your journey as quickly as possible. So for a customer, it's fantastic. As a member, an organization, I think it's inspiring because our natural tendency would be to try to improve the existing process. So what can we do with the queue in the rental agency? Can we create a premium desk for premium customers? Whereas you can see that with technology, we completely remove everything and just create a fantastic experience for the customer. So I think it's in that direction, that we're constantly trying to work with ING and with Suzanne in the services that we provide to really make the experience simple and seamless.
Thanks a lot. Very interesting topics that you have mentioned. Now I would go a little bit back to you, Yves, with another question. How do you build the customer journey? How much influence do customers really have?
So in this joint partnership that we've set up with ING, we have set up a unique, joint, co-located, fully dedicated team that works only on building value propositions for customers. We have set ourselves a very strict discipline where we always start from customer pain points to build the customer journeys so that processes are here to serve the customer journeys and not the opposite. I think there's also a very important element in the partnership that we've set up is the unique API architecture that we use and which enable us to connect the customer journeys that we build with all the policy management and claims management activities that happen in the background, so that what customers really see is the UX, the user experience that we provide to them in the easiest and simplest possible way.
I fully agree, Yves. Thanks a lot. Now, Florian, how can we improve the customer journey? What are the current pain points and how can we address them?
Yeah, very good question. And I would start with the pain point, or at least the major pain point that I think is the one in insurance, which is around education. What I mean is that usually customers don't understand what they are paying for. They don't even understand how well or not they are covered by their insurance policies. So I think that this is the major pain point, the major challenge in insurance. But very excitingly, I would say technology could help address that pain point and increase and improve the customer experience. I would say around 3 points here. So the first one, and back to what I mentioned before around transparency or transparent payment, it could be around embedded insurance, meaning having the right product at the right moment through the right channel, meaning when you're purchasing a good or even an experience, you can insure yourself against something goes wrong, and it's easiest to get the value even in terms of money, because you know how much you're spending, a few €1,000 on your e-bikes. And you know that for a few euros you can cover that bike against any accident, any damage, any theft, and so on. So that's the first option. The other option, and I believe it's a key challenge, is to try to smoothen the onboarding process, trying to reduce the number of questions that insurance companies are asking to their final customer. So it's much more for direct distribution. And the last point, which is quite enthusiastic, is around how to augment employees. So that's the augmented insurer. So how technology could help insurance player better understand and better address the final customer need. So I really think that here technology could be helpful as well. So 3 parts where technology, either in direct or indirect distribution, could help address that education challenge.
Very interesting. Thanks a lot, Florian. There are some questions coming from the chat and by Celeste. And I would start with you, Suzanne. Is it realistic to believe companies will actually take more customer-centric decisions thanks to what new digital solutions offer?
I honestly think that they won't have a choice. I think if you don't seriously put the customer in the center of your business, and reflect that in how you're going to work, then over time you'll be obsolete. And customers are becoming innately aware that they can vote with their purchase power. And the tech companies have changed the customer's literal ability to consume journeys subconsciously. And they just then choose the simplest, most facilitating business that helps them answer their needs. And the more that large industries that have been able to stay stagnant don't address this, the sooner they will find some radical changes in their industry brought by other tech companies. So from my perspective, it starts at the top. I think we should have far more innovative customer leadership on board level. And we've got to deal with our legacy systems, because ultimately we end up, or businesses tend to take offline journeys and make it online, and that's not the answer. So technology helps us facilitate this. It's not easy. It's a very brave and daring world when you put the customer in the center. But I think people need to change their organizations, and they need to change how they work to survive and become future-proof.
Very interesting. Another question also for the chat for you, Florian. Concretely, what are ways to personalize the product? Is that the actual key? Is that the actual key to innovations?
Yes, I think it raised a very interesting a question and challenging question for incumbents, by the way, around data. Because one funny thing is that usually insurance players say insurance is all about data. But if you have a look at the data an insurance company owns about its customer, it's quite limited. First, it's usually declarative. Obviously, they have the contract data. But I mean, in terms of data that helps better understand who your customer are, how they behave, what their risk appetite or level, you don't know that much. In comparison, for instance, in the banking space, you have the transaction data, which says a lot about who you are. Basically, if you have access to my bank account, you know who I am, how I behave, what's my level of risk. And I believe that this is the reason why the regulator in the banking space obliged banks to open this data. And I raised that point because there is a current discussion in the insurance industry, which is, do you believe that there will be an open insurance regulation? As you may have understood from my point, I believe that's not the point about insurance because they don't have so much data. But anyway, personalization requires data, hence this kind of partnership between an insurance company and a bank player as well to team up together, because together they are stronger than alone on their side, I would say, and I guess that Suzanne can elaborate there. But long story short, the challenge for personalization is data, and I believe in this kind of ecosystem opportunity. That's the only way for insurance company to make it happen and to get data, additional data on top of theirs to, let's say, personalize and better serve their customers.
Very interesting, Florian. And I think it's a good bridge to Suzanne. How does this work? Do you have any tangible examples that you can share with us?
Yeah, so I think building on Florian's point, as you know, quite rightly, Antimo and Yves, when we first came to you with our proposition on the business model, we didn't come with a traditional distribution agreement deal, right? We said that's not what we believe in. We believe that we have to design processes and products with data and trust at the core. That whatever data is used is for the benefit of the customer, to enable them to really be empowered and take decisions. And what we chose to do as a part was set up a joint venture where we said, alone we can't extend the protection to the extent that we want to without having a partner by our side. Equally, you can't bridge the gap on that financial health and forward-looking protection of our customers without a bank. And the reason why we came together is we're highly digital, and we want to build with you an ecosystem where customers can say, I'm okay with my data being used because you are using it to benefit. And we're building a global platform that allows customers to build their own policy and actually put their data to use so that they can get the best protection they need at the best price. Now, that is quite a radical circumstance because I don't think it's ever been done before that an insurance or bank assurance as a partnership have done a joint venture where we've done a global platform. And it's not easy because the regulators on one side are trying to protect, but we've got to be very careful that we don't restrict the right positive development for customers to become empowered. And what we're trying to do is get to that next level of you see the usage, you allow the consent, you control how the data is used, and you benefit from it. And we're building that across total non-life protection so that we're able to say, on one hand, this is how you use your money. On the other hand, this is how you protect your life. And just pushing products in a bundle format to a customer where you've already predicted the riders they want is not what customers want anymore. They want personalization. I am not a cookie cutter solution. I'm an individual. I have a different life to everyone else's. Please respond to me. And that's not easy because the insurance industry, having worked there myself, I can say that, has not been radically disrupted. You know, we're being eaten away
we are much better
by
now.
tech.
Come on.
Okay, but you know, we haven't Uberized yet. And our vision together is to get to that really powerful ecosystem where we can bring such value to the customers that it's just an obvious choice. And that's when it becomes simple. It's an obvious connected choice. It's not just my banking, it's not just my protection, but it's actually embedded services. And that's our joint vision together that I still find exciting. It's a social disruption.
Thanks a lot, Suzanne. Thanks a lot. But Yves, do these solutions really allow for more simplicity? What agility does a platform offer, like the one of the AXA ING partnership?
Yeah, so I think if we try to illustrate what both Florian and the topics that both Florian and Suzanne have mentioned, very simply, what we do is that we have first worked to drastically reduce the number of questions that we ask to customers in order for them to get a quote, simply by reusing, with their consent, the data that already exists or the data that we can derive from proxies. Of course, we do this with customers' consent, but it enables us to drastically reduce the number of questions. Second point is that using this data, we also put together the appropriate mix of covers that we think is adequate for the customer's needs. And then they then have the choice either to buy in a few clicks for those that are happy with the version of the product that we have proposed, or to go deeper in the journey and make the adjustments that they want through a series of very simple toggles and buttons in the journey. So I think in this way, we've been able to really make a clever use of the data so that it's simple for customers to get a quote. Those that want to buy quickly still have a personalized and not convoluted journey, and those that do want to adjust can do it. So we've really tried to offer possibilities to customers to really do what they want in terms of personalization and simplicity there.
Thanks a lot, Yves. Let's take the last question. Please give a short answer. So this question is coming also from the chat for Noélie. As a customer, what is the next solution for one of your personal pain points? Starting with you, Florian.
Yeah, I would mention again around data, having all my public data in one place, because here in France you have to fill again for taxis, exactly the same information for public health coverage, exactly the same for my company registration, and so on and so on. So having one, let's say, official register with all my data, and every subsidiary of the state can just access what is relevant to itself would be huge, and it would be a good increase to my personal, let's say, journey in the state arms, let's say.
Thanks, Florian. And for you, Yves?
For me, very simply, and on a sustainable approach, I would really like to see the delivery of grocery that supermarkets can do extended to local shops, so that you can get on a daily basis the fresh products that your local shops can sell, even if you cannot go there and do the shopping. And I think it would help, shorten the delivery cycle and help all the small local shops. And I think this is happening progressively as these sites are many organizations are now offering this possibility to local shops.
And for you, Suzanne?
Well, I have two quick responses. Personally, I want to see more sustainability in my local ecosystem. And I don't want it to be a gratuitous one-off. I think we've got to become far more aware of the total end-to-end environment and how people want to live. And when I purchase things, I want to know a percentage of my purchase is able to go back to either that environment, that local community, to become sustainable, as well as the global world, because I think we're not moving fast enough in this initiative, and it's something that I feel quite strongly we need to bring to the next level in our partnership as well. So that's an opportunity there. But back to Florian's point, as a mum, right? I honestly think there's too much disparity between how you run your finances, your administration, and your documentation. And I think we're getting to the level now where, let's face it, the data's out there anyway. So please put it in a controlled environment that helps me facilitate my life in an easier format. Because the fact that you have to redo this is so time consuming, but also it doesn't help me in urgent moments of need. And I think, we need to get between sustainability and also facilitation, not just on a very basic level of consumerism, but in a deeper, profound way of living.
Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot of all of you for these great insights. I'm glad that we had this conversation about this really important topic. And my takeaway is we should think end to end, should be an inspiring and relevant journey for our customer, should facilitate their life, and should be transparent, should be a fantastic experience, should start for the customer pain point. We should use the data to not ask questions because we know the answer. And I think the new technology will help us to do that. Very great, inspiring discussion. For all the viewers, thank you for tuning in. We will continue this conversation and the full replay will be as soon as possible on the platform. Make sure to check in for our following episode in AXA Live Innovation Talk. We will continue to focus on important topics. The next month will be on the health. And I will close here. Take care of yourself, and I hope to see you soon.
Bye.